Manipur's Churachandpur district was the scene of fresh violence as at least 2 people were killed and a dozen were injured when security forces fired at a mob that stormed a government compound housing the offices of the police superintendent and district collector late on Thursday. People aware of the matter said that the collector's residence was burnt along with vehicles of the security forces parked near the compound known as the mini secretariat. The attack prompted the state government to suspend cellular data services in the Kuki majority Churachandpur district for 5 days. In an order, Joint Secretary Mayangbang Vito Singh said, and I quote, anti-social elements could use social media to incite passions of the public and affect the law and order situation. The order cited the volatile law and order situation and said that the state government has decided to temporarily suspend and curb mobile internet data services and internet data services through VPN in Churachandpur for 5 days as a preventive and precautionary measure. The mob gathered outside the police superintendent's office following reports of the suspension of a police head constable belonging to the tribal Kuki community. The head constable was suspended after a video of him with armed men and village volunteers went viral on social media. In his suspension order, Police Superintendent Sivananda Surve cited grave misconduct by a member of a disciplined police force. We'll talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the show is Major General A.K. Sivach, defense expert. Major General Sudhakar Ji, geopolitical, strategic and defense expert, also joins us on the show. Major Mohammad Ali Shah, defense expert, on the program with us as well. Last but not the least, Mr. Pathikrit Pine, international affairs expert, joins us on the program as well. Pathikrit, I'll begin with you. Well, just because it's been a bit quiet in Manipur doesn't mean all is well. In your opinion, what explains, this recent spate of violence? And do you think that the central government has been able to do enough to make sure that, this is something which finds some sort of a resolution once and for all?
Vinit, good evening and good evening to all my respected fellow panelists. Vinit, I have been saying it for a long time that as the date for the 2024 election will near, you would find a lot of disturbances being attempted to create in different parts of the country. We have seen what is happening in the Punjab border with Haryana. So far as Manipur is concerned, it has been burning for quite some time. It's a very complex issue. I think the government has done enough in terms of ensuring that no quick fix solution is attempted, and it also ensured that the armed forces there do not end up killing anybody for the sake of maintaining law and order, because it's a very, very delicate situation. It is a reality that the open border created a lot of mess in Manipur. A decision has been taken by the government to fence the 1,643-kilometer long border. It has its own challenges. A decision has also been taken that people who have come after 1961, they might be asked to leave. And there has been a lot of effort made to tackle and contain the entire narcotics trade and narcotics cultivation that happens in the mountain regions along the border with Myanmar. Now, when you take such strict decisions, invariably, certain elements who have been benefiting for it for a long time, those vested interest will try to create foment problem and trouble. One cannot deny or completely, outrightly scoff of the idea of external support for it as well. But it is a very complex situation because of the ethnic challenges that are there today. There has been demographic shift, which is a reality. But any person who is from the police forces, if it is found that person is masquerading with armed personnel who are carrying illegal weapons per se, then invariably the police force, any disciplined police force, is supposed to take action. Now, those who are, storming the office of the SP or the collector, burning them down, I mean, they should be defined as enemy of the state. There cannot be anything else. So I think the government, the armed forces and the administration there, resorted to most restrictive use of firepower. It was not indiscriminate. Any kind of loss of life is unfortunate. However, if you do not take any action, then invariably it ends up creating a situation where the rabble rousers presume that come what may, nothing will happen to me. So I think whatever has been done, it might seem unfortunate, but it was necessary. And I'm sure even then, a lot of restraint is being shown by people in administration so far as Manipur is concerned. We hope the fencing, the strict action being taken against the entire trafficking syndicate will eventually make sure that those those who created the problem, those who sustained it, those who tried to create a civil war situation will eventually be contained. It has to be a long-term process, cannot be done in one day. But I admire that the armed forces have shown adequate patience. Beyond this, certain times, a certain level of firepower has to be used, even though it might seem unfortunate, but perhaps it was necessary. Back to you, Vinny.
General Sivach, what do you make of this reprisal of violence in Manipur? And is this an indication that perhaps, we haven't still hit a point where Manipur can be considered safe?
Vineet, one has to understand, there is no doubt, this is a very complex problem. There is a distrust which has come between the two communities. That is Methi, which is about 53% of the population, which are basically in Manipur valley floor, as well as the Kukis, which are staying in the hills. And everyone knows the basically mistrust is that the Kukis and Nagas are considered to be having a scheduled tribe status and their seats reserved for them even in government job, whereas the Metis, which are 53% only staying in 10% of the area, do not have that facility. And this has been triggered off on 3rd May when the High Court has given a direction to the state government to explore the possibility of taking the case with the central government that the Metis can be also considered as a scheduled tribe. Automatically this has antagonized the Kuki community, because if Metis also become a scheduled tribe, then obviously there will be a lot of cut from the job which the Kukis and Nagas were getting. Notwithstanding that, the problem which has come is that the action which taken afterwards, after this clash has taken place, we started in Chura Chandpur, it has spread like a wildfire. The worst thing which has happened is, one is that a communal and ethnic violence has taken place between the Kukis and Metis, which has amounted to more than 200 people killed and almost 60,000 persons have displaced. What extremely unfortunate happened is almost about 5 to 7,000 weapons were looted from the police armory, that is the reserve battalion of Manipur. And that has created a lot of confusion, because as on today, there is a lot of weapons in the society which has still not been taken back. And therefore, the violence has not reduced as much as the government want. As far as the state government and central government are concerned, they are taking a lot of positive action. Now, 2-3 action which were taken immediately, and which is that once we realized that Kukis and Metis have a distrust, a buffer zone was created between both the community so that they do not sort of have a clash, and there's a security forces in between. But certainly the problem was still there. The weapons were there in society. The whole society was criminalized. That was an important thing, that how do you take these weapons from the society? The people have not got. The second thing which has happened is the population which is there in Myanmar, that is the Chin population, very close to the Kukis. There are a lot of people from Chin population over a period of time has come in the hills of Manipur. They have settled down there and they are doing a poppy cultivation. And that is because this is a triangle, a golden triangle, which is of Myanmar, Thailand and Laos. And this has also created a lot of economic problem in Manipur. Now, what has happened is that as far as Myanmar is concerned, there is a civil war which is taking place. And in Manipur, there is ethnic violence. Now, this coupled with both, the situation has become more complicated. But I must say that the central government has understood there is a problem. So they have taken 3 actions. I appreciate all these actions. One is, as we all were saying, that first of all, the whole border starting from Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, then Manipur and then Mizoram of 1,643 kilometers need to be fenced. Second thing is, this free movement regime, which is prevalent in Indo-Myanmar border, must be stopped, because this has been misused from Myanmar side, because there is no law and order there. The Chinese are also making that use of it. That Arakans which are there, Rakhine province there, these are the disturbed area, and therefore this free movement regime has to go. Of course, it is not liking to especially people from Nagaland and Mizoram, but that has to be done because this has been misused. Drugs are coming, weapons are coming from Myanmar side, and they are creating a sort of disturbance in Manipur. Now, what need to be further done? As far as the state government is concerned, the central government is concerned, they are knowing it that to find a solution of this complex problem is not an easy thing. So civil societies have to be taken into confidence. That is very important thing. I think that is building up. The civil society must come on a single platform where we discuss and find some solution. The distrust which has been created between these two communities, Mathis and Kuki, has to be reduced. After all, they have to stay together. I suppose that is. And third thing is, do operations which should be given to unified command, and you have to do the calming operation, a military operation which has been done in Assam and also in Jammu and Kashmir, wherein you have to get these weapons from the society. Until and the weapons are not taken back from society, no normalcy can come in Manipur. So I suppose that is also a requirement of day. So overall, the central government and state government is aware of the problem. They are going in a right direction, but the solution is not that easy. It will take some time. But certainly, what is the cause of concern is that it is more than 7 to 8 months that the situation is still not stabilized. Vinny.
No, and General Sudhakarji, the government is doing all it can, but where is the hiatus? Where is the gap here? Is it communication? Is it policy and law, or do you think that it's getting very, very difficult for the government to play the mediator between these two communities, and perhaps some other avenues need to be brought in?
Yeah, Vinit, good afternoon. Thank you for getting me to your show. Before I respond to your question, let me compliment all the previous co-panelists for having given a very comprehensive perspective. And before I pan out with my response again, at the cost of repetition, through your channel, I hope this book is being seen by one and all, The Great Game East. And I have shown this many times in your channel. I think those who have read the book, they will realize that every chapter, every word the author has written is panning out the way he had visualized at the time of drafting this book. And there is an external factor, Vinay. There is a factor when I talk about the external, it includes China. It includes the very objective and the intent of China, the CMEC, because we should not lose sight of the fact that the Yunnan and Xinjiang provinces are two landlocked countries in China today, the modern China I'm talking of. And in order to provide connectivity to warm water port, the CMEC in the east and CPEC in the west was developed by China, and it had been conceived long time back. Take your mind back to Mao Zedong. They had visualized that they need to actually have some kind of secure access with the Arabian Sea as also the Bay of Bengal. Next is the immediate neighbor of India, whether you talk about Myanmar or our internal state Manipur or the Maldives, almost it's spanning out the way it is visualized by this author. And you'll find these kind of things will continue, like Pathakshit has brought out, as we get closer to the elections and beyond the election. China will make sure that the game is on, the pot keeps on boiling. And also, in addition to all this, let's not also take our mind off what is happening in Thailand. Despite the best of efforts, best of intentions of the people, despite the fact that the democracy was back in some form, yet the military junta is back to power. And now the Tatmadaw is the other name, the actual Myanmarese name of the military junta, having taken a backseat, is not going down too well in the heart and soul of China. Because China has to develop Myanmar as it has made Pakistan a vassal state and almost successful in making Maldives one. Myanmar has to be a vassal state. It has to be a satellite state. The military has to be in its pocket. It has to develop all its a special economic zone. The railway line is under construction or nearly completed. The national highway is done. There are a number of bridges. Almost about close to $30 billion have been committed on ground, and a host of other things. The money is pumping in. And to top it all, 2022 onwards till now, this golden triangle, which has been already alluded to by our previous speakers, the golden triangle comprising of Myanmar, Laos, and Thailand, unfortunately, to India's disadvantage, the dimensions and the size has been expanding to the west, that is towards Nagaland, Manipur, etc., etc. The land area which is added on to the golden triangle is almost by about 60,000 square kilometers. So if that be the kind of thing, the illegal weapons are pumping in from Yunnan province, a place called Ruail, and it is coming all the way at the cheaper cost, transported across Myanmar, coming into India. So these are the kinds of things which are actually developing from the external threat. Now come to the border problem. Yes, much of the issues have been correctly identified. Many things are underway, but it will take time. India has woken up. We don't have the luxury of addressing every security threat overnight. It takes time. The fencing will take time. The anti-infiltration grid will take time. The legislation of that 16-kilometer cross-border regime movement, that will take time to be legislated and negotiated with the neighboring country. Also, the checkposts in between, whether it is Tamu More or any other place that you select, also, establishment and regulation of the traffic, the human traffic, will take time. But the biggest danger which has happened is, Vinit, that the military junta has found safe access and harbor in India. They have come into India in the large number. And more than that, our internal trouble is that within the inside of our country, states like Mizoram, they are not in favor of the agreement or the central government having given this particular direction or having taken a decision. The fencing is not in favor of some of the governments inside our seven sister the area. So therefore, there has to be a kind of a unanimity in decision that we are taking. There has to be a consensus. And above all, in the internal dynamics, there is an issue related to the military operation. We all are aware of the agreement which was signed way back in the SOS agreement in 2008.
Right, sir.
And just two more lines, Vinit. I would say that if you want the military operations to be successful, unified headquarters is one, but then the precision target surgical operations can be conducted successfully, provided the military is given its exclusive power, Armed Forces Special Power Act, where they have to operate. And if they're not given this power, then I'm afraid neither they'll be able to discharge the mandate as it is expected, nor they'll be able to bring peace into the area. Back to you, Vinit.
Right. Mohammad Ali Shah, let me rope you in as well. You're pretty familiar with the Northeast. You know it like the back of your hand. You have lived there, you've served there, you've represented the country while serving with the Assam Rifles. You've been on this show in the past as well. Not much has changed. This violence may be sporadic, but it does spell out, that the problem hasn't gone away. Both the communities have had mediators. There have been dialogues. The government also has shown a lot of incessant energy in resolving this crisis. But somehow this seems to be more complicated and intricate than earlier envisaged to be. In your expert opinion, knowing the language and, knowing every nook and corner of Manipur, what should be done?
Vineet, thank you very much for getting me on your show and discussing a subject which is extremely very dear and close to my heart, and it's an honor to be on this panel with the illustrious general officers and my dear friend Pathikaran Pine. And the general officers have thrown the light strategically from the bird's eye view. It's a very, and I concur with them. And I will just speak as a junior officer on ground who was with the Assam Rifles over there as well as the agency was serving on ground. Now, if I go strategically, yes, I'm on the same page as what the general officers have said. Now, if I tell you ground level, see, Maites and the Kukis, both are extremely cultured, very, very good people. But now, why the hatred? Why are so much of mistrust and miscommunication among them? We'll talk about last night's incident in particular. Well, we saw what happened in Trashanpur. Why it happened, I will tell you, it was really, firstly, I will make one thing very, very clear. No citizen of the country irrespective of the religion, caste, creed, region he belongs to, is above the law. So anyone, any mob or any individual who takes law in their hands is wrong. And whatever support, if a person who takes law in his hand was getting, will all go against those people who would be taking law in their hands. So I would urge people, not just in Manipur, all over, not to take law in their hands, because even if you're getting support, it will not work in your favor. Now, the very fact is, Reed, rule the rules, and law is law for everyone. No one above the law. So no one should, two wrongs do not make a right. One cannot justify that, okay, there something went wrong, so I will also do a wrong thing and I will also do the same thing. No. The very fact is, this entire agitation again last night in Rajasthanpur, what happened, this entire arson violence was grossly wrong, and no one in the right frame of mind should support it. At the end of the day, again, I would say the armed forces, the central armed forces, when I call the central armed forces, the army and the Assam Rifles in particular, I would name them, they are doing a commendable job. It's a very tough job. It's a very, very challenging job. Being surrounded by a mob and then trying to take things under control. I mean, it's very easy to accuse people, accuse the army or the Assam Rifles with sort of siding with any one particular community. It's very easy for journalists to get accused because one has to be neutral. And when one shows the perspective of one side, it's bound to happen that the other side, whichever, it cannot happen in Manipur, it can happen in India, it can happen internationally. The other side will say, oh, so-and-so is siding with this side. Now, the very fact is, what you had asked one of the panelists earlier, is it lack of communication? I strongly say yes, it is lack of communication. This mistrust, this hatred, this venom which has spread between the Maitis and the Cookies, unfortunately, they were brothers. They were living so peacefully. They were coexisting so peacefully together. You see the past, you see the history. What went wrong suddenly? 3rd May, well, it was growing up before 3rd May, yes, but now it has got, the wounds from both sides have gone so deep that they are not willing to reconcile. They are not willing to sit and talk. They are adamant on their own demand and their own this thing. And not just, I had spoken this months earlier. My greatest fear is, if it is not curbed right now, it will spill outside of Manipur. In the first 1 week only, I said that. In the first 1 week, I remember it was 5th or 6th of May. I had spoken and I have been back to back speaking with people from both the communities. Last night, the whole night when this was happening, what we can see on your screen right now, this arson and this violence was happening in Rajasthanpur, which is known as Lamka by the Cookies. When this arson and the violence was happening, I was getting phone calls, videos, and seeing it. I felt so helpless sitting in Delhi, sitting in Gurgaon. Did not know what to do, how to go about it, who to tell, what to do. But the very fact is, Reed, the hatred has gone in so much that I don't know how we can get back peace in a beautiful state like Manipur.
We've run out of time as well. I'm going to take concluding thoughts from all our guests, starting with Pathakrit. Pathakrit, 30 seconds to each one of you. Go ahead.
Vinay, first of all, like the Indo-Myanmar border being fenced, we need a national border policy, and the Indo-Nepal border needs to be fenced as well, because we are facing a legacy issue of open border policy and porous borders that is creating infiltration, ethnic complexity being changed. Secondly, I mean, it's not that before 3rd of May, the Cookies and Metis have had the best of relationship. Armed Forces Special Powers Act has been there for a long time. I think the entire violence was motivated. I see no reason why the Cookies would be upset if the Metis get a scheduled tribe status just because they are Hindus. That is unacceptable. And secondly, when you have one community, which is the majority community, have been restricted to 10%, and another community has been given 90% of the land because of ST status, it was about to create problem today or tomorrow. So I think the legacy challenges that we have, we need to address one by one. National border policy, we need right away after the next election is over. Back to you, Vinny.
Jal Sivach.
is that our Act East policy has to be still very much activated, notwithstanding that this border will be coming, fencing which will be coming starting from Arunachal Pradesh to Manipur, because international trilateral highway, which is to go from Manipur and then go to Thailand and Laos and then further extended to Cambodia, has to become a ground reality. Because if you have to have a footprint in Southeast Asia, this is the one highway which come must. And second thing is Kaladan model project, which is basically coming through Mizoram, coming from Calcutta to Kuakapu in Myanmar, and then coming to Mizoram through basically through waterways and then coming roadways. So these two projects have to become effective on ground, because our Act East policy should not be deterred by what is happening in Manipur.
Okay, all right.
As for Manipur,
all right, Jal Sudhakarji, quickly, 10 seconds, and then Ali. 10 seconds. We've completely run out
Okay,
of time.
Vinit, complex
10 seconds,
issue.
please.
Complex issue. Do not look at Manipur incident in isolation. Join the dots. And General Shivaji is bang on. Notwithstanding what is happening, we must continue relentlessly to have our Act East policy in place. And we must extend 1700-kilometer road, 70% of which is completed. Remaining 30% must be done at the earliest. And we must connect and have a footprint in Southeast Asia or ASEAN.
10 seconds, please.
Right, Vinit. I think this has to be stopped right now. Enough is enough. And if not talks in Manipur, we can have talks in Delhi. My house is welcome. I want to get involved in it. I want to personally sort it out. I want them to become friends. Yes, they have been friends. It's not that the Armed Forces Special Power Act has got nothing to do with the Maites and the Cookies relationship in the first place. It was there earlier as well.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.